No, honey, you've had enough treats, okay? Sorry, mate, there's no treat. Oh, sorry, you've had so many treats today, haven't you? You've had so many. Okay, there's no more today. In a bit, yeah? If you're good. If you're good, yeah? You're good? Okay. I'm gonna do my video now, so you be a good girl and don't do anything stupid or naughty. Okay? Hello guys, fuck it. I still can't do an intro. I just keep overthinking everything. Hi guys, in this video I'll be talking about the film Final Destination that came out in 2000, which is directed by James Wong, written by Jeffrey Riddick, Glenn Morgan and James Wong. The film is about a group of students going on a Paris trip, and while on the plane, before the plane's even taken off, while the students have a panic attack saying they've seen the plane blow up, they've had a vision, and he tries to warn the others, but the student gets escorted out and some other people follow, and unfortunately the plane does explode on takeoff. Then the survivors that get off the plane start dying in really creepy freak accidents. I think I first saw this film when I was in probably middle school, which I don't think my parents know about. But when I first saw this, I haven't seen much horror. I wasn't really good with it, but I've seen some of the old classics like Nightmare on Elm Street and all that, and so I was kind of used to the whole slasher kind of genre. I was like, okay, I kind of get a gist of what this could be about. But when I started watching it, it just took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting the killer to be death itself, and that's what I find really interesting about these films, is the fact there is no slasher, there is no, I don't know, there's no guy killing people in dreams, or there's like no person dressed in a costume. It's just death, the presence, like a force. And I think that's why I find the franchise so interesting, the fact they have to try and find creative ways like to kill people off for these death scenes and to go as brutal as possible. And I feel like that's really refreshing, and they've done about they've done 5 films. They've done 5 films, and they still, each of them still feel like refreshing still. Like they try and do something different each film. What I feel the first Final Destination film does really well is from the opening sequence, like the opening credits, there's that feeling of dread and eeriness. So it really puts you in, like, it prepares you for the tone it's going for and the atmosphere the whole film's going to have. And what else works as well is the characters. The characters are so likeable, you know. You find them really entertaining to watch, and you kind of get with some of them you don't really want them to die, and like the ones you don't want to die get the most brutal death. And I do feel the actors, Devon Sawa, Ali Carter, Keir Smith and Sean William Scott, do a really good job. And like, because it feels like they actually are students, like they're young, and the way they act, the way they talk. And even after the whole accident and like them losing their friends and loved ones, these they really feel like they're going through a traumatic experience, and like they really are grieving, trying to get over this event. And then what I find so unique about the film and the story is when Alex, played by Devon Sawa, the one who has the premonition, he finds out that death itself has a plan. When he finds out they cheated death, and when he realizes that people should have died on that plane, and now because they got off, they're dying in the order they would have done. It freaks them out a lot more because they're so in denial, like, which is understandable. Like, they've just survived. They luckily survived this traumatic experience, and then they're grieving, and someone goes, "Death is still after us." It's like, you sound insane. I think that's what really drives the story, is Alex trying to convince the others that death is after them, and no matter, like, he's like, no matter what, death is still going to come for it. Like, you are going to die, not later, soon. But again, what else drives the story is that Alex tries to cheat death again. And I think that's really cool, the fact once he figures out the design, the plan, he's like, oh, maybe we could cheat it again, maybe we can save each other. And I think it's a really cool concept, and I think that's what really drives the story, like the tension throughout the entire film, people not believing him, and then and people die, like the consequences. And I think that's why I really love the first one, because it's such a simple story and the characters are really enjoyable to watch. And in the sadistic, it sounds sadistic, but I always get excited to rewatch it every time. It's just one of those films that I forget how certain things go, and then when I rewatch it, it's like I just get really excited. I don't know. I just love the story so much. I always loved the first one because I've never seen anything like it before. I've never seen just a force, like, just manipulate items like around the area to lead up to a death, to make it look like it was an accident. And that's a terrifying concept, really, because when I first watched it, I was actually really paranoid about going outside and just going like into places like the construction, near construction sites and even buildings. I was like, oh god, is death gonna try and kill me now? Like, is something gonna move? And then it just played with my mind so much, and I think that's why it stuck with me, because no other films had that effect. And it's really weird because you thought Nightmare on Elm Street would have done, because when you go to sleep and everything. Final Destination, it just played in my mind. It played with all my fears of like the stuff outside, and I've never had a film do that to me, and I think that's why it really sticks with me now. And I always get excited when I rewatch the series, and I love the deaths, I love the music as well, and it's just a really good time. And it's so simple. The whole concept is simple, and the films are simple. It doesn't try to be clever, and I think that's why it's so watchable, because it knows it's just having fun. It knows people aren't going to take this seriously, and they're just there because it's a popcorn flick kind of thing. But I do feel like the concept and the whole thing with death is so well done, and that's why I love it so much. Even the people who behind the film, like the directors and the writers, they said they just wanted to have fun, and they weren't trying to make any Citizen Kane kind of stuff. They just had this dark humour approach to the whole making these films, and I think it really shows that when they're setting up death scenes, like the build up and the stuff they use for everyday stuff, and I think it really shows how much they enjoy making it. The reason why I find this franchise so interesting isn't really so much like all the deaths and all the gore, it's pretty much how it all began. So this is late 90s, so before this film was even made, the writer and I'd say creator, Jeffrey Riddick, he was trying to find a television agent, and someone suggested, if you're looking for that kind of work and like you're looking to pick up some writing jobs, you should probably write for a popular TV series that's happening. And at the time, the popular TV show during the 90s was X-Files. So he started writing the idea and like started writing like the writing process. He was on the plane, and he remembered a story about someone having a premonition and like getting off, and he thought to himself like, oh, what if it was their time to die? And so the ideas started coming to him, and like people cheating death, and the cheaters, like the survivors of a catastrophic event, they will soon be killed off. And you can find the X-Files, the original X-Files script online. I managed to find and read the X-Files script version, and like I said, like I could appreciate the fact this was where it originally started from, and the ideas, and you can see it really shine in the movies. But I'm really glad that they decided to not use it as an episode, because as I said, you see the elements there, you see the atmosphere, pretty much the main plot points, the fact like someone's premonition, gets off and avoids being part of this accident, like tragic accident. But there's just some bits that felt so flat in the script, and I don't think it would have had such an impact as it does in the films now. Because I think, if I can remember correctly, death is still the killer, but instead of just being a force, like just a presence, he possessed the survivors, and then either forces them like to be like on the train tracks or something. And I think he even pushes them out the window, like off a building and everything. I was like, that's really lame. And like I think he even says something really cheesy near the end of the episode. I'm like, this is really, really dumb. But like I said, it sounds so horrible, but it just wouldn't hit the same. And that's where I feel like I'm really glad the fact the film was made, and then we had fun sequels afterwards. Even Jeffrey, during this writing process, was saying how he originally thought there should be a slasher killer, and how it should be death, and then he realised how silly that was. I don't know if this was after writing the script, and then like the film started getting made, like the process being made. Before it'd be really silly, so he thought it'd be interesting if death was just invisible, a presence. I think that works so much better because it has more tension then, because you don't really see things coming. Like I said, the build up towards deaths, they are what made the franchise interesting. The characters and the actors do a brilliant job directing. Some films not so great, but they are really well done. But it's the deaths and that keep us involved, that keeps us hooked, because they use, like I said, everyday stuff, but they all combine to form these deaths. And I think that's what's really interesting, because you don't have, you think it's going to go one way, but then it goes another. And Jeffrey wanted to demonstrate and hopefully influence filmmakers when it comes to horror. He mentions the iconic franchises like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and what they did for horror, and mainly teen horror as well. And so when it came to Final Destination, he wanted to prove there doesn't need to always be a slasher, you know, and like the horror genre is limitless. So he just wants to demonstrate the fact there's always something you can mess around with when it comes to the horror genre. And I think he did a really good job at that, and I'm really glad it was. I'm still really glad it wasn't an X-Files episode. With Jeffrey's aim to try and influence other filmmakers, it definitely succeeded. Like, I am definitely one of them. I've always found this so fascinating, like the whole franchise. I know it's nothing deep, but I've always just found it quite entertaining and quite fun. I even tried to write my own script years ago, and I tried. It wasn't the best, but it was just still fun trying to find creative ways to do things, and like it's really different as well compared to other teen horror / thriller. But I do feel like Final Destination is definitely more unpredictable if you haven't seen it before, and but it'll be really interesting because I've heard that John Watts, the director of like the latest Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland, he's rebooting or continuing the franchise. I heard there's doing a Final Destination 6, which if they do it, I'm all there. I'll be interested to see what they do, what the action's going to be. But yeah, if you haven't watched Final Destination and you like cheesy horror stuff and you like to have fun, I would definitely recommend watching the franchise. For me, the first Final Destination is a great introduction to the franchise, and I really find how it all began really interesting still, and I think that's why it hits. That's why I find it so enjoyable to see how it all evolved. And I don't mind I really enjoy the sequels. Maybe not the fourth one as much, because it felt a bit like a parody of itself. Like it tried to be too hard, and the 3D effects really don't hold up well. But that's why I'm really glad I did a fifth one, because I feel like it captured the whole atmosphere similar to the first one, and I really loved the soundtrack for the fifth one. I've listened to it an unhealthy amount of times. I need help. But before I finish the video, I thought, why not geek out and just tell you some fun little facts about the first one. Originally, James Wong and Glenn Morgan wanted the title to be called Flight 180, but the producers thought it sounded like a military disaster movie. In the opening sequence where you see the main actor, Devon Sawa, in the bed, he's actually asleep. He fell asleep for 4 hours, no one could wake him up, so they decided to film around him, and this was on the first day of filming. When the alarm clock decides to display the number 180, and then it transitions to the airport, it took them 5 days for them to nail it, try and figure out how to do it. In the airport, we got that board that does the announcements and displays all the departures. That doesn't exist.
They didn't build one. It's completely CGI. The plane that Alex looks at through the window is a model. It's not CGI, it's just being composited into the shot. The director and writers put their own omens into the film, keeping the tag on the luggage for luck, looking out for signs not to kill on, keeping out for certain words. When Alex and Todd are in the toilet and John Denver's playing over the speakers, this actually happened with James Wong or Glenn Morgan. The John Denver incident happened to one of them before boarding an airplane, not long after John Denver died in a plane crash. The gate 46 is the number of students that die in the accident. The writer Jeffrey Riddick actually had Tom Maguire in mind to play the lead for Alex, because he didn't want someone who looked like the stereotypical Hollywood nerd. So he wanted someone who looked natural and average looking. But Jeffrey was really impressed with Devon Sawa's performance as Alex. The thunder scene was originally meant to be like a skeleton finger pointed towards Alex, but because of CGI at the time, they couldn't really nail it. But it was meant to visually show that death is watching Alex. Todd's death scene is actually practical effect. The bathroom floor tiles were skewered, so the water had a path to go down and follow. It took them 3 times to film and get it right. We've also got Candyman in this film. It's not Candyman. It's Tony Todd. He's playing Bloodworth. Bloodworth? They mentioned about his character how he emerges what seems to look like a cave. So he gives the uncertainty if he's a helper or the devil in disguise. The metal scraps that Claire uses for her sculptures are actually from the Flight 180 plane. It is mentioned by Glenn Morgan. I think it was written in one of the drafts or it was in one of the deleted scenes, but yeah, they should have kept it in. The train sequence is probably my favourite moment from the first film because I love the build-up and the twists. But also I love Billy's death. It will always be my favourite because how unexpected and how sudden it is. I will always love it. New Line told the writer and the director to take out Carter wetting himself because I thought it was a bit too much. But they obviously rebelled and kept it in. At the end, Carter is hit by a sign that belongs to Le Caf Miro 81. But backwards, it says 180.
Thank you guys for watching my video about me just talking and geeking out about Final Destination. Okay. Yeah, again, thank you for watching my video, and I hope you even learned something as well. So, again, thank you for watching, and Tony and I will see you soon. Oh God, the gas is on. Honey? Hello? Hello? Honey? Honey, no. Come back. Honey. 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 No. No. Maybe one treat won't hurt.